So the EP is going to be called Ulterior Futures, and the song I'm talking about today is called Please Let's Go. And if you want to find me later, I'm on Instagram, Tilde Mouw Music. I have a website, and then I'm on Spotify, SoundCloud, all these platforms where we can post music. I'm on all of the ones that DistroKid sends things out to, and I think they try to send it out to all of them. So this song, I'm hoping to talk about how to go from strumming my guitar with a song idea, having guitar and voice and a very like acoustic based sound, to something that maybe someone could be playing on their stereo system at home or maybe on the radio. Okay. I come from a singer-songwriter tradition, so I'm very like based in guitar and voice. But for this, I really wanted to create a sound that was a little more produced, that was more like what I'm hearing on the radio, and was maybe verging into like indie pop with electronic drums. And before I jump into that, I wanted to talk a little bit about songwriting, because a lot of people ask, like, how do you start a song? And there's all these different aspects of music that you can start with. I tend to start with words and a melody. So this is like a picture of me writing one of these songs, and I really like the writing portion because it can be relaxing. This summer I got to like go out on the porch with my notebook and write songs, and I didn't have to have my computer. Like when I'm mixing, I have to have my computer with me and usually be inside. So this was sort of like a nice part of the process this time. And I would just schedule the time on my calendar and actually say like, this is a songwriting day. And then I would write like 5 to 10 songs. And if I got stuck, I would just write like whatever came to mind. If I really get stuck, usually I write like sea shanties because they're funny and like shake up your brain and are easy to think about. And then I would record a really rough demo that would sound like this. And how I organize these demos is I basically have like a track in the session view in Ableton for a day, and then each session is a demo, and I just record through the, oops. So this was the like very first demo after I wrote down the lyrics for Please Let's Go. Please let's go, we can forego all the good luck we now know. Please let's go somewhere so easy we don't need luck anymore. Please let's go while we still owe more time to San Francisco. So that's where I'm kind of starting. I recorded that through the computer speaker. And at that point, like normally I would go to a bunch of open mics and play it and workshop it, but we're all trapped at home. So instead, I decided I liked it. So I started a Ableton project just for that one song, and tried to get these parts down. So like vocals closer to what I'll want in the end through a better mic, maybe some lead guitar ideas with some guitar soloing, those rhythm guitar chord changes and the strumming patterns, percussion ideas, maybe some like MIDI instruments. And then I got this to go from as kind of like capturing most of the ideas that I thought I would want in the final one. So this was sort of like draft one of like a produced version of this song. Please let's go, we can forego all the good luck we
let's go somewhere so easy we don't need luck anymore. Please let's go while we still owe more time to San Francisco. Good luck, hard work got us here. Will that stretch much further there? Or will good luck shrivel up? I want to know. Please, let's go.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so that was like the version I wanted to show people and get feedback. I'm like, how can I make it better? But I was super psyched about that. And then if you have any questions about what I'm doing with any of this, the instruments, the instrumentation, or how I'm like programming the drums, I can dig in more. But you do notice I was using the pocket operator here and Ableton's 909 like MIDI emulator. And these pocket operators are super fun. I didn't end up using them on the EP that much, but for experimenting, they were like awesome. And they're these little calculator. I don't know if you can see my video. Can you see it? There's like calculator looking synths that I just like hook in, and they sound
so cool.
great. So that was really fun for like figuring out this rhythm. But then in the end, with the later versions, I ended up wanting the flexibility of being able to like design the drum sounds in Ableton, which was a lot harder with the pocket operator than with the MIDI instruments. Okay, so then I got feedback. Oh, is there a question?
Yes, did you whistle yourself, or like, and then it went into a synth, or was it the synth whistling?
That was a MIDI whistler instrument. Yeah, and it's in Ableton's just, I think, default sounds.
Cool.
I think it's one of the synths. Yeah, and the whistle, I really liked the whistle. It didn't actually, that was one of the things I really liked that didn't make it into the final draft, but I'll probably bring the whistle back later.
If you could bring it back and put it in between the verses somehow, like getting it like a pickup in, out of or into, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, well, you'll see, but I ended up going more of like a horn brass direction, and that was because I know a trumpet player and they were gonna do an actual trumpet solo, which I also haven't, we've tried recording it a couple of times. So I don't have live horns right now, but my dream is to have a trumpet player play the solo.
Sorry, Tilly. I also have a quick question.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could save it for later, but I feel like this is the part, like what you just showed me is what I struggle with. Like, I feel like I also just start with like guitar and voice, and I don't feel like, I just have GarageBand and I kind of use that to add to my demos, but I struggle with figuring out what is actually like the essence of the song while still like adding things to it. And like, well, like playing around. There's so many things to play around with that I just get distracted and I'm just like, wow, I don't actually know if I like how this sounds, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think one thing that's not captured in what I'm showing you here is the many interim stages where it no longer had the charm of the demo. And it kind of had to come back around to that as I added things and figured it out. I'm very comfortable in like a 3/4 waltz meter, so that helped with this one too, because that is a very distinctive time signature, and anchoring it in that also helped like sort of keep the charm of it going throughout the whole process. But especially with some of the other songs on the EP, like I would add drum lines, something I thought was really simple, and would just like complement it, and all of a sudden it sounds like everything that I loved about the song is dead, and I have to like start over. But I think you just have to keep going and trying things. And a lot of the time what I ended up doing is adding a bunch of stuff and then slowly taking things out that don't fit until I figure out like what's actually working together.
Well, thank
you. Things like that help, but experimenting definitely helps. And then the more I learn about, I have notes at the end about some of this stuff too, but like the more I learn about drums and what makes, like especially with drums, what makes a good drum line that complements the song, the more I learn about like best practices, the easier it is to. It's harder if you reinvent the wheel.
Do you know about how long it took you to get from that initial, just guitar and voice recording to this first draft?
I can look back through my chat history because I like sent it to people. But I wrote the song in June or July, and then I was sending this to people probably in like September. So, and I was working on other things in the meantime. I wasn't like only working on this, but it was a couple months of like noodling around and coming back to it and trying to add stuff. And I'm pretty inexperienced with creating drums, so that in particular was something that was like a lot of experimentation. Were you wondering about like the pain and time commitment, or?
Yeah, a little bit, and just curious, like how long it typically takes, because I'm new to all this also. So, I mean, not to songwriting, like I've been writing songs and singing and playing piano since I was like 2, but in terms of like taking it from just piano and voice to something more, I'm curious as a relative beginner, like approximately how long that takes.
Yeah, I also, like I said, was messing around with the pocket operators a lot, and I think maybe I could have gotten going faster without that, but it definitely helped on the like feeling inspired side of it, because I'm also used to like physically playing with an instrument, and with the synths, like I'm physically programming them. So I think it was easier to kind of like ease myself into creating simple drums by having something to physically play with. So that added to the time. It was kind of a balance between like something that was like energizing and inspiring versus something that might actually get me there faster, but I was very like not knowing how to use it, so it wasn't as inspiring. I'm gonna play you the final version of this one, because then I can talk about the feedback and sort of how it changed a little bit. And then I'm gonna finish up with another one that you haven't heard, so your ears aren't totally burnt out on Please Let's Go. Okay, so the feedback, I say the word San Francisco in the song. I cut that because there's sort of all these abstract ideas about the like person speaking and then who they're maybe talking to, and then it felt really specific to say San Francisco, and like the ideas that I associated with that weren't really being elaborated on or coming through in the song. So I decided not to get it that specific, since the song is more about the relationship between the person being addressed and the person singing. So I tried to pull that out more. Everyone liked the 3/4 kind of like rocking back and forth feeling, so I tried to keep that. And then one thing that's been happening in these songs a lot is I'm used to, like I showed you the pictures of myself performing. I usually look like this. I have my guitar and me, and I'm trying to fill in the rhythm and fill in basically as much of the spectrum as I can with my strumming and with my guitar, and keep myself accompanied through the whole performance. But when I was doing that on the record, it didn't leave a lot of room for other instruments and other stuff. So I ended up, for a lot of these songs, pulling back on the rhythm guitar a little bit and making it like simpler and a little bit maybe just in one part of the frequency spectrum, not trying to cover the whole thing. So I would like focus more on the lower strings or on the higher strings or the middle. And then I changed the song structure a little bit to be a little tighter so it wasn't as like first verse, second verse, bridge, third verse. Because I decided I didn't need that. So here's a picture of my notebook, like when I was trying to introduce all these ideas, and you can see it's all crossed out. And I changed where the capo was a couple of times because on different days I'm comfortable in different keys. And when I'm writing, I tend to go very low in my range. And then when I'm trying to really express myself, I'm like, oh, actually, that's not going to work. I can't get the volume. I can't get the expression that I want. Really low in my range, singing range. Okay, grand finale.
Please let go. We won't forfeit all the good luck we now know. Please let go. Time will take care of it. I'll take care of us. You go with the flow. Please let's go somewhere we can blow through all our good luck, just helping out folks. Can't we find out? At least can't we find out? Please let go. There's always a road to hold us down, pull us back to shore. Can't we find out? At least can't we find out? Can't we find out? Please let go. I am tired. I can't hold until the end of this road.
Wow, it really turned out good.
Thank you.
How many times did you go over to do a voice? Like you just put it down once or you do it again? Or you have a scratch vocal? I don't mean the second voice. I mean the lead vocal.
I might have a visual actually. I do it so many times. Yeah, so here's all my tries. I tried it at least 24 times. Sometimes it's an amalgam in the end. You know, sometimes there's a part where I only get in a couple of the takes how I want it, but the mic that I'm using is much more accurate than ones I've used in the past. So I was suddenly discovering all these mistakes I was making. And all the singing technique I knew like totally came in handy trying to get it to sound the way I wanted it to. But I tried a lot of times. And then sometimes I would record like 10 in a day with not very good technique. And then I would wear myself out and I'd be like, okay, I have to try another day because you know, your voice gets tired. You can't just keep trying. Oh, so the last few things I wanted to say about this were just some like sort of things I learned. And if any of these pop out to anyone, any ones that I have like online resources for, I connected the link in this presentation. But I learned a lot about Ableton and how to actually, I knew about some of these recording techniques before I started this project, but I hadn't applied them before. So the learning curve was steep. So I learned how to use swing or Ableton's groove pool to make my drums sound more natural. I used randomness and arpeggiators with drums. I used automation to have the settings change as the track goes along. I used sidechain compression, which I was like super proud to actually use and understand how it was working. Sidechain compression is amazing, and it was like basically invented so that, I don't know if it was invented for this, but so you can like hear a DJ over a song, so it makes a song like dip down in volume as the DJ is talking, as the DJ goes up in volume, and but it's useful for like many amazing things. And then one tip I learned that I want to share with everyone, I'm not sure if it's actually applicable, but I was super excited. If you use room reverb effects of different rooms, it can help with separation of the tracks too, because you're kind of like putting the frequencies in different categories in a way, kind of. So with my guitar, there's different, I think in this track there might be different reverb on every single one just for fun, but I was also using that technique to make sure you could hear the different guitar parts as well in the track. And I did do a little bit of pitch correction, although my pitch is pretty good. And I learned that the stereotype that guitarists tolerate sloppy rhythm was totally true, because when I added even though I was playing with a metronome, but then when I tried to add the drums in, I realized my guitar was totally not on beat. And some of them I never quite got it on beat, and I had to go in and edit and move the like strike of the string to exactly where I wanted it to be. But my playing did definitely improve, but I did not know how far off I was. I already talked about the singing, and I got someone to loan me a bass guitar, and I did really simple bass lines, and it was okay. It was totally doable as a guitar player to play the bass. It was not as scary as I thought it would be, and I had a lot of fun. I really liked doing the bass line. Okay, that's the end of the presentation portion. Thanks. I believe I promised Neko one more song if there's not any questions right now.
We can do both.
All right. I don't know if I played this song Attention in here. This one's kind of maybe the furthest stretch for me from like what I've mostly performed before, but it is like a vibe that I've definitely had in my music in my head before. So I'll play this one. Neko, I hope you like it. This song's called Attention.
If you think you know where I'm going with this, don't stop me. If you got to get some poison out, just come to me. You don't need attention, you won't drop attention. Give yourself affection, give myself affection. About I had a big and scary decision to make, a fork in my road. Now I know it all flows in one long stream. I was wrong, we don't have to start over. You don't want attention, you don't need attention. Give yourself affection, give myself affection. In your dream I was so right, you didn't need a thing. You woke up weeping to find that you're the birthday queen. You don't need attention, you don't need attention, you don't need attention. If you think you know where I'm going with this, don't stop me. In a backyard lit by string lights, we applaud our queen. You don't need attention, 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 you don't need attention.
think
I like
Adrian
it.
couldn't hear that one, but I sent the link in the chat, so hopefully you can still hear it somehow.
Thank you, Matilda.
Yeah, so I was really excited about that one because like I've always wanted to do a song with a little more upbeat, maybe people could dance or a party vibe. And this is not a party vibe, but it's getting closer to that, and it's about a party. I was really excited. And then the drums, I really struggled with for this one. I do want to show you one thing. When I was first trying to figure this out, I literally went through some of my favorite songs and like created the drum track and like drew in every hit of the drums that I could hear in the track. So I went into Talk by Khalid and I like made the drums from Talk to try to understand like what good drums are like. So this is like everything I could hear, at least the drums from Talk. And I did it for Pineapple Skies by Miguel as well. And the drums I have ended up being totally different, but I felt like I just needed to understand like what does it look like, the tracks of drums that I really enjoy. So I literally listened to the song and like wrote down for every measure what drums I could hear and then went and drew them in hit by hit in this MIDI track, which I don't recommend for like time reasons, but for feeling satisfied that I like understood what was happening in a drum track that I liked reasons, it was totally worth it to do like a couple of times.
I would second that. I mean, especially if you're just starting out, like one of the first things you can do to get more comfortable is to emulate things that you do like, and then you'll start to realize what it is you like about it and what it takes to create that type of sound. So like, even if you're not going to do that for every project, that is a very helpful tool when you're starting out and when you've been doing it for years.
Yeah, it was super helpful. And it was satisfying to be like, look at it and be like, oh, look at all this stuff that I heard. Like I was able to hear what was happening with the hi-hat, and yeah, this track was super fun to work on. Oh, I can also talk about like anything about like my release plans or like any of the equipment. Oh, people want to hear about release plans?
Yeah, woo!
I like your website. Your website is great.
What's your website?
Oh, good. TildeMouwmusic.com.
Go in there.
And your pics, they look super professional.
My parents are actually professional photographers and they took them.
It shows.
Yeah.
They're great. Love them.
It's lucky to have other artists in the family.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to do, well, I want to do like a countdown photo shoot up to this release. I learned about that idea from a YouTube video, and I want to do like a photo of me being like 10 days to go, 9 days to go. But I currently do not live with any professional photographers, so the photography probably won't be quite as nice as what's on the website right now. But I think it'll still be super fun. And I've really been honing in on like Instagram content for this release. I've decided to just totally commit and focus myself to like Instagram and then channel people towards Spotify and see where I can go. And they say to have like release goals. So my goal is to have twice as many listeners on the first day for this release as I had for the last one. The last one had 20 listeners on the first day, so I'm going for at least 40. I think it's going to be doable, especially because I'm going to be promoting it like a billion times more than anything else that I've ever done before.
Yeah, we'll promote it too. Good.
Please, yeah.
Yeah, I would love to hear about your release process. What is your plan for doing this release?
So I'm modeling it off this YouTube video that I watched, but it's basically like a 10 days before plan and a 10 days after plan. And I was telling Rose I did this art program last year. So I have some friends from that who are artists, and I've been trying to organize a couple of like mini collaborations that I can post on Instagram, and the kind of like Instagram based art in conjunction with this. So the strategy is like 10 days before and 10 days after, have some like awesome stuff to post on social media leading up to that. And then I don't have an official like release team, but I'm kind of going to everyone I know, including you lovely people, my friends, and asking that on the day it's released, please listen to it and post on social media how you feel about the track, what you think and how it makes you feel. And that's a big part of the release plan, because having other people talk about the track and listen to it is like, that's it, that's the secret sauce. But in addition to that, in the 10-day countdown photo shoot, I also have a collaboration with my friend who does these little like 3D-ified graphics. So I was talking to him about some collaboration and he was like, yeah, if you send me the art for the album, I can totally do something like this for you. That would be amazing. I would love to help you out. So this will be like one of I will have something like this that's a collaboration with my friend who's an artist, and like we can tag each other and kind of promote each other in this like artistic collaboration with the album art.
I want to click,
Yeah,
I want to listen. When I see that, I'm intrigued, you know? And I think it goes well with your music, right? So that's perfect.
Yeah, I think it'll be really good. My album art, I haven't finished it yet, but I want it to be kind of like, I'm gonna draw some like, I draw a lot of people playing guitars. So I'm gonna draw some ladies playing guitars, and then he's gonna 3D-ify it, and we'll see what happens. I'm really excited. And then I've been working on a lyrics video. So in the 10 days after, one day I'm gonna post a lyrics video and one day I'm gonna post this collaboration. And the idea is like in the 10 days after, keep it hyped and like keep reminding people it exists and giving people more ways to engage with the piece of art. So I don't know how many of you have heard this song Harm, but I basically created Google Slides that I'm just gonna click through, and then the song will play. And then my friend, who's also an artist, he's gonna create some graphics for this slideshow lyrics video. But basically like, these are the lyrics to the song, and I'm just gonna do this and screen record it, and then I'll have a video.
Very cool.
So that's one of my strategies. And
great.
I think, and then I did some animation. And then I have a third friend. God, all these friends are men, but I have a third friend who's also a man who also filmed me, and we're making a music video for that same song. So that song gets a lot of love. That song's gonna get a music video and a lyrics video. And all of these collaborations are basically based on like who's available and who's interested in doing what. Like the filmmaker, I kind of gave him like a couple of songs to choose from, and he was like, oh, this is the one we should do the music video for. So I did guide him, but I also gave him a couple options. So he had some artistic license too. And it's definitely all like either miniature or in this case, pretty much full-blown collaborations. So we can like both promote each other on the internet as this music comes out. So I'm really excited about that. Very collaboration-based strategy. Yeah,
those are really
stoked.
clever and resourceful ideas too. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I'm trying to base a lot of my work in, I mean, I think this is something that like there's all these ideas about like the magic of artists, and they're so exceptional, and then the desire to like emulate people that you admire. But I'm trying to really focus on like, who are the people in my life who are creative and want to do creative work, who I can collaborate with, and what are like the things we might do that are energizing us. Because I think sometimes I get trapped trying to emulate someone who's doing something I think is cool, but maybe if I try to do it, I'm not going to feel really excited about the fact that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be more sensitive to like what is actually giving me the energy to execute the project.
Yeah. Amandine, tell us how that relates to marketing.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. You have to be authentic, right? And you have to be yourself, because like if you just copy people, then you're just like other people. So
Yeah.
I think what you're doing is great, and it's quite unique. I've never seen that before, so that's perfect.
Yeah, that's the other thing is like when you start working with other people, you come up with ideas that you're like, whoa, this is some other thing that never could have existed out of just my own brain, or
And
maybe
it's
out of
fun.
anyone else's.
And it's
it's
fun, right? Right? Because like,
yeah.
Exactly. That's the magic of collaboration.